Hello, I want to welcome you back and thank you for tapping into my energy here for a little bit of evolution and truth. Now, today we're going to be talking about what's probably the most difficult yet the most rewarding part that I discovered on my path. And today we'll be discussing letting go. Now, this is probably hands down the number one reason why most people quit while they're on their spiritual journey. Most people either don't know how to or they just don't want to let go. Now that I think about it, it's probably the most difficult thing in general that you can do in life is letting go. Think about how many people find it difficult to walk away from that abusive relationship, that partner that won't do you right, but you still stay, that job you're not advancing in or you're just not happy in, but you still stay. Those snug clothes that no longer fit, but they're your favorite, so you keep them anyway. The list can go on and on. Letting go is the most healthy thing you can do in your life. When we hold on to things that need to be released, we are stating we don't accept what is. Now, I'm not saying that whatever pops up in life, you need to accept and just live with it. Absolutely not. You can accept it in that moment for what it is in that moment. And if it's something that you don't agree with or want to change, then you walk towards change instead. But the first step is accepting what is. That's the same thing if someone that you're in a relationship decides that they no longer want to be with you. Instead of getting upset and trying to convince this person who's probably already walked away in their mind, you need to let them go. Some people enter our lives just to teach us something and show us a certain thing, and then that was what they were supposed to come into our life for. But then we decide, nope, this is my person. I need to keep them in, and now you're holding on to something that needs to be let go. So accept what is and grow from that experience. When we accept what is and look for the lesson that came with that experience, we grow. When we grow, we allow something even better to enter into our experience to replace what we just got rid of. For me personally, I didn't know how to let go of certain things because of childhood traumas. So it was hard for me to release those that I allowed into my inner circle. That was the hardest thing I found for me to release on my journey. Now, for me, that was those that I found out that I was related to. I can't call them family because they never lived up to that definition. Now, you can check out the message I put out before on being family or just related if you want to understand what I mean by that. The thing is this, when we have a traumatic event in our lives, the body will remember that. So our subconscious mind will see that we did not respond to that very well, so we do everything possible to avoid that same type of event from occurring in our life. So if you were traumatized as a child, there's a good chance that your mind could have blocked that memory from you. Then you will automatically respond to certain events from a programmed response. Depending on the trauma, it will determine how you automatically respond. Not to mention, we can carry things in our DNA that has been passed down from generation to generation, and we didn't even know it. But that's exactly why we do certain things, because it's just a programmed response from a previous experience or trauma. For example, there was a story that I heard about a woman who would get real nervous and anxious anytime she got near a stove. Now, this went on for years and years and years. So she just learned to eat out, or she would do like a microwave meal or something like that. She would never cook because anytime she got near the stove, it was just something in her body. She would get nervous and start shaking and all kinds of things. So one of her friends suggested maybe she should get hypnotized. So she thought, okay, well, what I got to lose? So she got hypnotized, and that when she was under hypnosis, she discovered that when she was a child, she witnessed that her parents oven exploded from some type of leak. No one was hurt, but she witnessed it. She saw it with her own eyes. So this was traumatic to her at a very young age. So once again, the subconscious mind blocked that experience from her. But so to avoid her from going through what she experienced at a very young age, anytime she got near a stove, those feelings were coming up. They were trying to be released. So she was reacting from a programmed response from getting near that oven. So obviously, as an adult, that was something that happened as a child. So she changed her perspective on how she viewed that event and understood that it's safe now to go near stoves and this, that, and the other. So she was able to release that trauma. Now, since she was able to release that trauma, she now cooks and has no problem being near stoves. But for all those years, she would not go near an oven and cook because of those feelings that she was being blocked by her subconscious mind. So when we face our fears, our traumas, our demons, whatever you want to call it, we grow. And then we release what is no longer serving us. When I started meditating and I learned to focus on the inside, that was when things sped up in my life. I like to call that part of my journey the let me see phase. When I focused on the inside, that was me telling my subconscious mind, let me see what you're hiding from me. So what started to happen was all these things that were suppressed, and they started to float to the surface slowly. So all these different traumas and things that I experienced in life that I either forgot, suppressed, whatever the case may be, that needed to be released, they started to come up. And then I would release them. Now, this is why I said why most people quit is because this is not a fun stage at all, because you're reliving all of those traumas and all these things that happened to you. Could have been from a very young age all the way up to adulthood. It does not matter. But you will have to face those things so you can release them, because they're trapped energy inside of your body. So all these different things are meant to improve you, basically. So you could relive things from you being laughed at in front of everybody at class, or that rejection that crushed you, even the way you felt in your marriage that pushed you to get a divorce. All these things are weighing us down. And as long as you carry them, you will be limited from rising to your highest and greatest version. My goal when I got on my journey was to become the highest and greatest version yet. So by me making that statement out loud, I'm stating that is what my goal was, and there was nothing that was going to stop me. So in order for that to happen, in order for me to be the highest and greatest version, I had to walk in that energy of the highest and greatest version of myself, which meant that highest and greatest version of myself probably wasn't watching Korn. That greatest and highest version was probably working out. That greatest and highest version was eating healthy, emotionally intelligent, released all that stored energy in the body that no longer served. And the list goes on and on and on. Now, that's exactly why I stated in the beginning why I created this channel, was to assist those who are striving for the same exact thing, but just don't know where to start. So you're in the right place if you're trying to achieve being the highest and greatest version of yourself. Now, if you just want to hit level 5, that's fine. If that's what you want to do. We all want different things. And in your experience, it is what you say it is. Now, if you're reaching for level 10, it will not be easy, but it's definitely doable if you put in the work and you're willing to sacrifice things that no longer serve. Now, as you progress on your journey, things will come up if you are truly all ready. There was a time in my life when things triggered me and I get upset or just suppress those feelings. So I didn't have to deal with it. Now, it wasn't that I did not want to face things. It was just I was never taught how to. Just as many men aren't today. I was taught not to cry or feel emotions. I had my childhood ripped from me where I couldn't be a kid and express whatever I was feeling in that moment. If I were to receive a spanking or get slapped in the back of the head or whatever the case may be, and I would cry from being in pain or hurt, whatever the case may be, I would be told, hey, quit that crying before I give you something to cry for. Or, something along those lines. Just you would get punished and immediately you were told to shut up. So you couldn't express what you were feeling in that moment. So as a man, that is typically what men go through, which teaches them how to suppress what they were feeling. So now you're cut off at the knees on knowing what it is like to feel emotions and let that pass all the way through your body. Now, that is the worst thing you can do to a child. I now see that this was done on purpose, though, because I can feel things and express what I feel. Because I can now, this has made me way stronger than any point in my experience. As men, we're taught not to feel. This was put in place a long time ago on purpose. You're taught to keep moving forward and don't worry about how you feel. You can look at this as this makes you tough and resilient. Sure, that's one way of looking at it. But what it's doing to you on the inside is tearing you up and causing a ton of damage. And it's just keeping your body in a stressed state all the time, which is not good. Everything is energy, and energy cannot be created nor destroyed, but it can be transferred and transformed. So as a man, you're not taught how to deal with your emotions, which is just energy in motion. So as men, we just suppress it, what we feel, and just keep moving. Basically, that energy turns into pain, to anger, disease, and so on. The longer we hold on to it, the worse it will get in our bodies. This is why you see women living way longer than men, especially back in the day. Now, today, men's life cycle has been extended because times have changed a lot from back in our parents' and grandparents' days. Those individuals, men typically died a lot earlier than what they do today. Now, as we hold this stuff in our bodies and let it wreak havoc, it is literally breaking us down from the outside. From the inside, which relates to all these things that's going on the inside. Now, I'm not saying that you need to become a big baby and cry and throw tantrums as a man and this, that, and the other, and have a box of tissues all next to you. No, what I'm saying is you need to learn how to feel when something is off in your body. And then that way, when you're able to feel it, you can let it pass through you. Now, because of the way I was raised, I can count on one hand how many times I cried since graduating high school back in '95. And two of those events involved funerals of someone that I held very near and dear to me passing away. Now, I'll be completely honest. Now, ever since I got on this spiritual journey around 2018, 2019, when I started to dive into the inside, and like I said, that stuff started to rise. Yeah, a few tears have been shed, but that is the body releasing all of that stored energy from all of those years of not expressing myself or being able to express myself from a very young age, at a child. So all of those years of all of that stuck energy, all kinds of stuff are just rising up. Now, no, I wasn't sitting there crying and crying my eyes out stuff, but if I felt the need, if I'm meditating and then boom, this thing popped up in my head or this trauma was being shown to me, I released it whatever way my body felt it needed to at that time. So now I can tell you this, when I started to do that, hands down, that was the best feelings I've ever felt in my life. It's just when you all that stored energy that I was just holding on to in different parts of the body, like I said, it just wreaks havoc in your body because then it stores it in certain areas. I was releasing trapped emotions and energy from my fingers, my neck, my back, my stomach. It was coming from all over the place. So as those energies were being released, my body became lighter and lighter and lighter because more space was being freed. Now, excuse me, we can only become our highest and greatest version by letting go of all that energy that no longer serves us. Now, I'm still in my masculine energy, and I have strong and firm boundaries, and all this is because of releasing those trapped energies and knowing how to express myself and becoming emotionally intelligent and knowing when something is off in my energetic field. When I joined the military, one of my jobs for quite a few years was flying in planes with patients. Now, we would fly into multiple war zones. I flew into Afghanistan, Iraq, and Africa, and all three of those war zones picking up injured soldiers at that time frame. So during that time frame, I saw the worst of the worst injuries. I saw gunshot wounds. I'm talking to the chest, the head, limbs being blown off, stepping on landmines, you name it, I saw it. Now, with doing that type of job, I had to choose what I was going to feel. Was I going to give them the most superb care and be able to work under seeing any type of injury? Or was I going to feel their pain and emotions, as which you could obviously see these guys are feeling the worst of the worst at that time. So I chose to go with, hey, I'm going to give them superb care. So when I decided to do that, I separated myself, which I can tell you, it is possible to separate yourself completely from my feelings. So when I tell you I was completely detached from my feelings and emotions, I was detached. Now this was around 05-ish, around that time frame. And I was not fully tapped back in until my emotions were able to feel fully until 2024. So feeling nothing for that amount of time was not cool. I'd rather feel pain and than feel nothing at all. I was getting some feelings on certain things, but it was not regular. And I could feel them starting to pick back up once I got on my journey, and that was around 2018, 2019. But like I said, it did not come back fully until 2025 after I left my sales job. Now, during this time, I was there for about a year. So I met some cool people. And this was the second time in my life where I was shown just how connected we all are. It's crazy that I've never told anyone this before, but I'm sharing this with the world on YouTube now. That's how I know I've changed and grown a lot, because like I said, I was a part of me suppressing things is I wouldn't discuss anything with anyone. None of my friends would know what I was feeling or stuff I was going through or any nothing. I wouldn't share anything. So when I say I had a lot of stuff built up and trapped in me, I had a lot of things trapped in me. So for me to be going into this on here is huge. But anyway, I'll continue on. So now, as I said, this was on my last day. I was packing up my things, and I told these two young ladies that I would chat with pretty much every day. They're like having two little younger sisters. So I would chat with them. We would talk every day. And I was telling them, hey, this is my last day. And I remember, I've been asking to be connected with my feelings. So since I got on my journey, I want to feel again. I was always asking for this. So now this was the day that they decided to come back, but they came back with a little twist. So I'm just standing at this little customer service window saying goodbye to the ladies. And then the first young lady started tearing up. But as she started tearing up, I could literally feel it inside my body as if it was me that was getting emotional. Now, I had no problem with leaving that job. I was completely 100% fine. I was like, okay, you know what? It's time to move on. I accepted it. What is with me. So I'm like, cool. I had no problem with that. But I could tell it wasn't me that was feeling it. It was her emotions that I was feeling. And I knew this 100% because this was actually the second time that I've experienced something like this. Now, I'll make another video explaining what happened the very first time that I experienced that in my life, which is a few years prior. Now, I remind you, I've seen women cry so many times, and the already told you the job that I had and the things I seen. So seeing someone get emotional, that wasn't anything new for me, but it was the feeling aspect of it. Now, like I said, I was so detached from my emotions for over 20 consecutive years. If you add in childhood, you're talking a very long time. To all of a sudden, not even feeling your own emotions, but I'm feeling female emotions, which I can say for sure after going through that experience, female, it's different. Like their emotions are stronger. So I can see why women cry more. But I digress. But now at this time I'm feeling this and I'm like, whoa, what is this? And I know it's hers. And then at the same time, the second female coworker who sits behind her asking, what's going on? And as I'm looking at her, she's starting to tear up and she didn't even know what was going on. So she starts tearing up and I could feel her emotions. So now I'm feeling the double emotions of two females going off inside of my body, which felt like a grenade. And I'm like, man, I could feel like a tear wanting to come up. And I'm like, I started to freak out. So I was like, yeah, I'll be back. So I go to the bathroom and I'm in the bathroom trying to get myself like, what in the world is going on? Trying to figure out what is going on. And it was freaking me out because I knew I was feeling their emotions, but it was making me express their emotions out of my body. Because they were like trying to hold it back, but I'm like, I could feel it coming out of me. So as I'm sitting there trying to figure out what's going on, like a couple tears, like 3 or 4 tears came out my eye, and I'm like, I say, this is crazy that I'm actually feeling someone else's emotions, and it's playing out real time in my body. So during that time, and then it popped in my head like right away, this is what you asked for. And I'm like, dang. So I felt at that point, I already suppressed it a little bit because I'm trying to block what was going on. And then I had to say, you know what? I can't block the child. I say, okay. So I put myself together, go back out, tell everybody goodbye, this, that, and the other. I gather my stuff and then I leave. So as I'm walking out the door to my car, I say out loud, okay, what was I feeling? So I say this out loud and I get a rapid response. It was like, well, you want to know? And it brought their feelings right back, both of their emotions right back at that same time. So I was like, okay, I can't suppress it. I asked for this to come back. So I was like, I'm just going to let it run its course. Whatever the body feels it needs to do, it needs to do. So a couple tears start rolling out my eye. It wasn't like I was boo-hoo crying up, but a couple tears at this point as rolled down my eye. So At this time, I've reached my car, but two of my other coworkers who I didn't get to say goodbye to come shooting out the back door to give me a hug and say goodbye. So now I'm like, okay, I can't, now I'm not going to suppress this junk. So I was like, all right, I said, you know what? I don't care. This is another way that I know I've grown and changed and letting go of something else. And at this point, I realized I was letting go of caring what others think, because the old me would have definitely wiped my face and before as I saw them coming, because I had time. I was like, I don't care what they think. Like, I'm sure that they were thinking, oh, look at this big ass dude sitting up here crying. I was like, it had nothing to do with me leaving the job. I didn't care about that, nor was it my emotions that was being expressed at that time. But so I was letting go all types of things just from this one event, and it was pretty good. So when I got in the car and drove off, I felt amazing. Like, it was amazing because I released so many things at that point, and I could feel also me level up in a sense as well, because it was almost like, I felt like it was almost like it was a test to see what I would do and how I would respond to it. And from what I feel, it felt like I passed that test with flying colors. So it just worked out well for me. And from that point on, I was like, okay, I was really starting to understand how energy worked, and then suppressing these different feelings and all this other stuff. So it just put me in a whole different ball game at that point. So basically, I was back to being me and feeling from that point on. So, it felt good to feel things again. Like I said, it was like 20 plus years if we're just counting from '05. If we're talking about from childhood, that was an extremely long time. But I would say around '05 is when I really separated completely. Prior to that, I still was attached to my feelings a little bit, but '05 to 2024, they were detached pretty much. Now, I lived overseas for 12 consecutive years, and I would fly back to the U.S. to see my kids. This is another time of me realizing just how detached I was, and I didn't realize this until I got out of the military. When I would book flights when I was overseas to come back and see my kids, which I would do every year, the only time I would take leave, I would just let my leave build up. So, because like I said, I was overseas for 12 consecutive years. So I would only take leave to come back to go see my kids, which I would do every single year. When I booked my flights and got the hotels and all this, that, and the other, I would not feel excitement. And I kind of find it hard to just put a word on how I felt, because it's not something I can describe. Now, it wasn't that I was not happy to see my kids. It's just that, like I said, I was detached from my feelings. So it's hard for me to even put it into words. But even when I was like up close and we was in person, I would be happy to see them, but it was a different type of happy. Like I said, it's hard for me to try to put it into a word because it's a feeling. So, and it's something I've never even expressed. So, this is why I wanted it turned back on. When I was able to sit down and realize just how detached I was from my feelings, and because I love my kids and I do anything for my boys. So that's when I knew, I was like, dang, this is not cool. So I had to really, like I said, I was asking for them to come back. So, and when they came back with a vengeance. So Um, I'm just here to tell you, like, going through life numb is not living at all. It's just existing. And for the men listening to this, and you want to be your highest and greatest version, you must master the art of feeling and just letting it go. Now, I haven't felt anyone else's emotions since that time. Not saying that I can or won't. Some people will call that like an empath, but it's going to be, I don't really like to attach myself to all these different definitions because I know the power of words, but I'm just trying to describe things for people who know what these different things are. That's very interesting though, being able to feel somebody's emotions in your body and you're 100% sure it's not yours. That was definitely something to experience. But if for sure it made me understand, like I said, female emotions are definitely more intense than male emotions, which is another reason you want to be able to feel is to know when energy is and is not yours and when it's being projected on you. When I learned to feel the trapped emotions and let them go, I immediately felt the exact location where that energy was being stored. Like I said, I was releasing things from my fingers, my knees, and as I'm meditating, and then I changed that perspective, and then I could feel that energy leave my body from certain locations. I was like, dang, that's what that was. I'm like, you'd be amazed how energy transforms in your body and does certain things in your body. But that's why I say we have to release that, especially as men, because you're not trained to do that. You're just told to suck it up and press on. So that's it. This was the time that when I realized and found out just how energy can be projected into your energetic field, and then you can carry that energy thinking it's your own. And when you release all these different burdens, you will become lighter. So I was not aware that people I was related to and friends would project their crap on me, and I would carry their burdens plus mine and didn't even know it. Now, when I let go of what was no longer serving me, this is how I found this out, that family and friends were projecting things onto me. Thought processes, habits, eat certain food, programming, fears, traumas, the list goes on and on. Now, if you don't release what no longer serves you, you will be limited to the lower levels, lower chakras, however you want to call it. You will be trapped down there. And let me give you an example of what happens when others you're tied to try to hold you back and what that looks like. Now I'll use my snake plant as an example. So if you notice, you can look it up if you don't know what a snake plant is, but a snake plant has these long stems, and you can water your snake plant like once, maybe every 2 weeks or whatever the case may be. And you just need to give it a little bit of water, and it lasts, and it just goes on from there. Now, if you give it too much water, the leaves will become soggy. But just like us, plants are connected to each other through the root system. And the root system is how they also communicate with each other. So this one time I gave my snake plant too much water. Well, twice actually, but I gave it too much water. And this tells you just how, like I said, plants are conscious. They're not self-aware like humans are, but they are conscious. They do have life. So this plant knew it had received too much water. And what it did is it sent all of that excess water to one stem. And only one stem got soggy and flaccid, and then typically it's like really, really soft. So that one typically dies off and all the rest of them lives. So now you have to understand that it has to be conscious to do that. Otherwise, the whole plant would become soggy, and then all of the stems would die. But no, it's like I said, this is two separate snake plants I've done this with, and I noticed that both times it did the exact same thing. I was like, dang, I gave it too much water, and I could tell when that one little, it was just one out of all the stems, it sacrifices essentially one of the stems so all of them can survive. So this is why it is important to let things go. When we connect with others, we form energetic cords with each other. Now we can transmit energy back and forth through this energetic cord, as like with my snake plant, the root system. With us, it's energetic cords we don't see that remain. As long as we stay attached to these people, those cords exist. So this is why I'm saying this is you need to know when to let people go who no longer serve you in your life. So if you're holding this energetic cord open, they can send energy to you, and they can also extract your energy. Just as that snake plant sent all of that water to one stem so it could be sacrificed, this is how people sacrifice others through the energetic cords that they form with each other. So the strongest cord you can form would be that of a sexual cord. So if you have sex with someone, you're connecting with them on a soul level. So typically with others, we form an emotional connection, so which is still deep as well. But through that emotional connection, those people that you've given access to you energetically, like I said, they can send energy and also extract energy. Now, if that person is into dark witchcraft, voodoo roots, and so on, they can also bind themselves to you. Now that's a whole nother video that we could talk about those things, because these are the things, like I said, I'm making these videos and putting out these messages so people can be aware of what can really happen on every level. So these are all the things that I experienced that I had absolutely, I was giving no attention to. I wasn't into witchcraft and voodoo and roots and knew anything about any of that stuff, energy and all that. None of this stuff was on my radar. As I said, I was in the military for 20 years, and in the military it's black and white. I am straight programmed with, I was straight logic. It was boom. That was my thought process. And for a long time, I had to find this out energetically. So as these people were projecting this energy onto me, like I say, we'll go into this deeper in another video, but you need to be at a low level for this stuff to really take effect to you. So that's why these things keep you in a lower level. That's why it's important to let go so you can raise your vibration. And the higher you are, the higher you're vibrating, these energies can't survive in your energetic field. This is why it's important to let go so you can know how your energy feels in your body. And you can express it. And then when something enters your body, you can be like, oh, wait a minute, this is not mine. And then you can know how to protect yourself energetically. So as they were sending me all these different things, your energy has its own frequency. It's like caller ID, essentially. So I was being attacked energetically so much that I was being able to pick up what that intention was they sent to me and who it came from. So, which was totally not what they wanted to happen. So, we'll dive more into that into a different video. But basically, I just want to finish it up with just saying, this message goes out for everyone, male and female. But I want to stress it a little bit more to the men because I know that I was not the only one raised like that. The majority of men do not know how to express feelings. And I know a lot of females don't get that. You're not a man, so you wasn't raised, when you fell and scraped your knee and this, that, and the other, your mom, your dad will come scoop you up. Oh, come here, baby. Come here, princess. Give you hugs and kisses and this, that, and the other, and let you cry, this, that, and the other. But when a boy when fell and scraped, get up. You ain't hurt. Quit, don't be whining, doing all this stuff. So when you're growing up and you constantly being hit with that, you can't feel pain and this, that, and the other. And if you get the spankings, you get told to stop crying and this, that, and the other. So you never, ever express yourself. So what happens is you just automatically, like I said, subconsciously, it's an automatic program. Boom, boom, boom. It becomes automatic for a man. And that's just how you navigate through life. But like I said, as you're doing that, you're holding all of that trapped energy within your body and you're not expressing it. So that's why men were, for a very long time, and still to a certain degree today, are dying a lot earlier than women because we're not taught to let things go and express ourselves. And I know when you're looking at all these different communities today and red pill and this, that, and the other, certain things that they say I can see and I can agree with from dealing with certain things, but you don't want to be so far. You have to look at it like a coin. You have masculine on one side of that coin and feminine on the other side of that coin. It's the same coin. So men have both masculine and feminine energy, and the same thing with a woman. They have masculine and feminine energy. You want to master both of those energies. So when I'm saying you want to raise your vibration and be your highest and greatest version, how can you do that if you have one coin and you have both masculine and feminine energy, but you only master one? Nah, you have to master both of those sides of that coin. Like I said in the very beginning, this is why those type of things were programmed into us, because they knew this. So you're a lot stronger if you master your masculine and your feminine energy. Now, you as a man, you obviously want to be settled more in your masculine frame. You just want to get into that feminine energy and master it, know it's there, know how to maneuver and function through it, develop your intuition, because that is where your intuition is located, is in the feminine energy. So because I've mastered that energy, I can know, I'm very tapped in with my intuition. And when it says something, I listen. Whereas before, I would hear it, but it was a 50-50 chance if I was listening to it or not. But now I listen to it no matter what, because it's always right. And that is located in the feminine energy. But like I said, this is why they try to keep women in today's society, you see it more where they're trying to have the men in their feminine energy and then the women in the masculine energy. It's throwing off everything by doing it that way. And you'll never master yourself by doing that. But as I put out more messages, we'll talk more and more into these things. And that's why I'm going through the things that I've experienced on my journey. So like I said, these things, you can understand that you're not the only one going through it. And then hopefully these messages will help you learn to maneuver these different situations, and you can grow and let go. So that's all I have for today's message. And as usual, if you got anything from this message, I ask that you go ahead and smash the like button. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe, and I will check you out on the next message.